Alright guys, I don't always have time to make a lot of videos. I do a lot of stuff, but just usually I'm in a hurry. But I am going to make a video on this because this is one of those things that kind of gave me a little bit of an issue. So if it gives me trouble, chances are it's giving somebody else trouble too. We are replacing the axle pivot bushings on a 95 F-150. Now you do not need to take the whole axle out. This truck here, it's my daughter's truck. I'm putting a 4-inch lift kit on it and replacing all the suspension all the way around. I decided to replace the shock mounts. I've got this frame all sandblasted and undercoated, and I'm slowly doing her truck over one piece at a time. This whole truck has been completely gone over now except for the front clip, which I'll be doing next springtime. I'm going to be swapping out the straight 6 motor for a V8, and I'll replace the core support then. Other than that, this whole truck's been taken apart, sandblasted, undercoated, and had everything done. So anyhow, back to the mission at hand. Here's your axle pivot bushings. You got to get these rubber pieces off first. So let me set this camera up, and I've already got this one already out. I put it back in to show you because that was when I decided better make a video. I already did one side here. I've seen videos online of people using ball joint presses. I have a ball joint press. I didn't have a cup that was the correct size to get in here. I'm sure if I measured it, I could probably order one. I don't know. I don't have time to wait on more pieces to get here. So I'm going to show you an alternative method, because chances are most people don't have ball joint presses anyway. So I'm going to show you an alternative method to get these out. Now, like I said, this one's already been pre-done, so it's already loose. But to get this rubber bushing out, flathead screwdriver. I've played with a lot of different things. This is what I found to be the easiest. Take your flathead screwdriver, pound it in here, and just do that around a couple different spots. It's really, you're gonna have to stick your foot on this side to keep it from sliding. Pound this flathead screwdriver in behind this rubber bushing all the way around, and then you can take a chisel or a pry bar and just stick it in there and just keep working at it, and eventually you'll be able to pull this out. Like I said, this is already pre-done, so my battle is over. But this here, you can see, they get kind of worn and glued in there. Now, here's what some people don't realize. You have a metal cup in here. Here is what it looks like with the metal cup out. You'll see there's a little hollow area in here. This one still has the cup in. So here's what the new cups look like that come with the bushing sets. Here's the one that looks like that I beat the living hell out of to get out. So here's where our alternative method comes in. I've seen people, like I said, use ball joint press to press them out. You got to bring them out this way. Now, if you go on the other side here, you'll see there's like a lip on this. And it's a lip that goes out, so you wouldn't be able to push it out right away. We have to cut this lip off. I just use a 4.5-inch angle grinder, and I'll just cut that smooth with the edge of the axle. So I'll do that here real quick. So we just cut that little lip off that comes out. So Next step is where it gets interesting. I'm going to use one of these here little cutters. These are Harbor Freight for like 10 bucks. So as long as you have a little air compressor, you can handle this part. I try to show you with tools that anybody could have here. Nothing expensive and special. All I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a slit across this here. That way we can squeeze it together and make it smaller and, you know, push it out. And these things constantly, you know, you got to do it little bits at a time or it continually stops. You'll see what I mean here in a second. See, if you get trying to push too hard, it stops the movement of the saw blade. So you got to go slow, and it's going to take you a few minutes. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'll get this cut through. It took a few minutes. I spun it around and I put it up on a jack stand so that I could cut another one across it. So I have a slit across the top and a slit across the bottom. So now when we start going into the next process of chiseling it out, we'll be able to, you know, loosen up each half and they should be able to fit out. So I verified that this is all the way through the bushing. Don't be afraid of cutting into the axle just a hair, just to make sure you're all the way through the bushing. Because again, we have that metal cup that's going to ride in here, and your metal bushing rides inside the polyurethane bushings in that metal cup. So a little tiny ding in this axle is not going to make a big difference. So just make sure you're all the way through this metal cup though. So again, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to make sure this other one's all the way through on both ends. Okay, so you can see now I'm all the way through, and make sure you get through that lip on here too. So you can see I'm all the way through. And remember, the inside of this is hollow, so you'll see the darkness in there once you've cut through all the way on the cup, except for the edge. You know, you'll see the darkness there. Same thing with the other side here. You can see we're all the way through on both sides. So now comes what is arguably the easier part, actually, because that takes a while. Like I say, you got to move that saw blade slow. These are not the fastest tools. They're fine-tooth blades, so if you try to take off too much or push too hard, it just stops the blade. But again, these are like $10 at Harbor Freight. So now we're gonna chisel this cup out. All right, for this part of the process, you want impact chisels. I got these offline because we don't have a Sears anymore. These are just Craftsman. They weren't too bad. I think maybe like $25 or $30 for a 4-pack. But you don't want to use a regular chisel because as you're hammering, it's going to be absorbing the impact with the plastic handle. So get something that you have metal on metal so you're getting full force on this here. Hammer and an impact chisel. And we're going to be pounding on this lip on this front side. Just working it right around. Like I say, you might have to maneuver your foot to hold this in place and make sure it's not moving on you. You know, do whatever you need to do. This is actually, I already saw this one side pop already. That's why cutting on both sides makes a big difference. Yeah, they're already both loose. Now I'm going to come on the back side here and see if I can tap them out. There you go. So if you have a ball joint press, screw you. No, good for you. But if you don't, or if you don't have the right cup size and all, here's a backup way of doing this. You saw that only took a few minutes. The longest part was just the patience of cutting through this with that little blade. So there's that. We'll get this all cleaned up.